Okay. Let my own lack of a voice be heard. There we go. Some powerful stuff there. So,
wow,
that
was
that
powerful.
One?
And it was interesting. He was discussing the earthquakes, wars, natural disasters, and things, and how they have a natural place, which they do. However, the media, and he's 100% right in it, the media is not there to make things better. That's never been their job. They are there to make you just accept it as a part of your life, and they shove it down your throat. They cram it down your throat repeatedly until you are so numb that you just don't even blink anymore.
Yeah. It's interesting. But that was that's powerful. That was a powerful scene actually, because
did you see if you turn them off? I mean, how do we get around what they're presenting before us?
I thought, and Carbon Boy and I were kind of talking about this last night.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we need to learn how to correctly think, or we're going to be creating a final destination scenario and walking into our own death.
I thought you were going to quit this mic over people.
Last night that we after that we had a funny feeling there just something was wrong. There wasn't quite right. And I had been feeling that as of late. I kept seeing. Well, what it was, after a while, I think this is the key to.
Don't focus on it. Focus on those. Focus on your dreams or something, anything. I got the word yesterday. Shut off TV, all outside media, and get focused on self and get in the light.
It's night after night, hour after hour, evils things going. It's like you'll see on some chat rooms, and I'm not picking what we saw night after night. We didn't see much of the good side. If people wanted to talk about something good, it seemed like there was somebody there to sabotage you. I had these funny feelings near the end there. So when the thing went down, I felt, boy, they did me a good favor. I got to think about it. Okay, here's a basic truth that I learned from the Bible. Here's how it works. This would fit whether you believe in the Bible or not, but we're to be in the world, but not of the world. So we can spend our time on positive things, try to help people, work on a new invention. There's lots of things we can do. We can stay away from, I'll call it the evil side for no other sake and say. So I think that's the choice where we're at on this stuff. And we have to decide what do we want to do. And I think every one of us in this room here tonight, we've heard all the bad stuff for years. I don't think they can come along with anything new that we really haven't already heard that's bad, So I think for our own self and others, we need to work on the more positive, to get a more positive attitude. That's just kind of what I think about it. And I think about stuff like that all the time. I guess I'm the old philosopher or something. I know I'm not always right, but I do think of these things.
And, I think a lot of it is about, we've realised that we are beings. There are a lot of people out there that are going to extremities now. We've got people there was that guy that walked into that school council meeting at gunpoint, held him at gunpoint, and he realised, he was at the end of his tether. He had, that he had enough, and he resorted to what he did and started shooting at people. And there's a lot of these cases of people just going out and shooting people. Why? I think a lot of that is because they've lost their sense of power. They're empowering themselves effectively. They're taking back the power. I know it's not the best, but they are. We individually we have some great ideas. Collectively, we have even better ideas. Right? And I think we're starting to witness that this paradigm we exist in is not really facilitating that intelligence, and as we pile intelligence on intelligence on intelligence, we should be seeing physical manifestations, but we're not. and this is the friction. This is the friction that we see around us. This is why we see Egypt rioting the way they're rioting. This is why we see chaos still prevalent in and it's 2011, and chaos is still prevalent because we've been disempowered. Look, it took 1 million people to riot in Egypt to remove one man from office. That's the kind of empowerment we're talking about. That discorrelation effectively between those that have it and those that don't. And so, what that process is, I don't know, but, I wouldn't suggest setting yourself on fire or anything, but certainly realizing that you are a powerful individual and perhaps act in such a way as to, that reflects that. But it's really hard. There is this discorrelation, between what we're capable of and what we're actually capable of doing in this environment at the moment. And that's a shame, and the media doesn't help, as the guy said in that clip. They push fear and violence. Why? Because fear and violence sells. It's news. It seems that news is always bad news for some reason, and this is why it's always putting fuel on the fire. So Hitchhiker, have you got any comments there, mate? So why do you think you do that? What is it? You kind of, it seems like you're empowering yourself. You're empowering yourself to experience a greater freedom by allowing yourself to exist. Not be it, because a lot of life is, we know what the next day is going to bring. Things are so mechanical sometimes, and so hitchhiking is an example of not knowing what the next day is going to bring, or where you're going to be, where you're going to end up, where you're going to sleep. So it's kind of, I guess in that respect, would you agree that?
On that part, because it really embodies that idea that we are all connected.
Yeah, and he made an important point. He was effectively drawing on genetic memory.
Yeah.
When we're born, we're not. This is why I think we're not born with nothing. We're born with the cumulative, successive input from generation to generation, species. Whatever process of evolution we went through to become human, we're drawing on all of that. And we have things within us like the pineal gland that are amazing things that release chemicals for us, and there's this whole process that we've been built up, and you look around us and it's very clever, even from the most basic of functions of moving your arms, or just movement. I think something and my arm moves. I don't need to, it's not. I know that sounds crazy for some people, but it's true. I could, if I get up and make a tea, I just think it, and it's as though this thing happened, and I'm up there and I'm pouring the kettle, and it's like I just think it. I'm just thinking it. That's all I'm doing, and yet I see a manifestation of that. And that is a cumulative kind of genetic, input from generation to generation to allow that process to take place. So just through the power of thought, we have these abilities and that we can draw on.
It's not just genetic, though. If that were the case, then like he said, you wouldn't have the synchronicities and the sudden sharing of discoveries. Like what he was saying, when one guy figures something out here, another guy figures it out over there. That's more of a sign of that connectedness between everyone and everything that exists. We are made of the very same things at our most basic level as the stars are. Okay? The stuff that makes up the stars is in all of us, too. We're all connected.
He didn't mention it, but I think he was kind of referring to the 100th monkey effect, which we don't know that much about, whereby, potentially you get an instantaneous kind of group jump in consciousness and intelligence, that we haven't really. There's talks about it. It's understood, but it's not really been seen. For in our lifetime, certainly anyway. But that might be something you see that 2012 might be that manifestation, that 100th monkey, where suddenly, our collective intelligence just propels us into a new state of consciousness and awareness. But yeah, he talks a bit about the interconnectedness of people essentially, and that they did a study with, like he said, with the crosswords. The next day, and there was a 20% leap, which points to potentially that there's a connection that takes place between minds, and if we stemmed from one initially, and we branched off from originally, there's nothing saying that we aren't energetically linked still, and I do believe that.
But in some way, I feel like with music, with the things we live around, just objects and whatnot. In some way, we are all genetically connected to certain memories and knowledge that we have unlimited access to. But there are certain triggers that let loose that knowledge that almost in some way that family members beyond way back their memories are within us. But we in some way we listen to music and we search different things that almost triggers it to give us more knowledge, and it pretty much creates new knowledge with that, and it continues on and on and on. And the more we interact with people on the internet, etc., we evolve our brains in some way where we never thought we would talk about certain things or live certain I don't know, in some way, I just feel like it is connected in a way. I don't know.
Okay. If no one's got anything else to say, we'll carry on with the next scene then. Anyone?
Let's do it.
Okay. Good one there. Choice, free will, what makes the individual, all these good things. So, who are we? What are we made up of? What are we essentially? What are we? Are we a culmination of our choices? Do we have choices?
Yeah, we are. We have choices. I'm not subscribing to his theory that we don't have free will because of the patterns, from the brain, and you don't, everything has to follow. You still make the choice, and you control the mind. The mind, therefore, controls the body. We still make these choices. It's not an illusion by any means. And I'm honestly having a hard time relating to what he is trying to say in that we don't have free will, because it's very, very obvious that we do.
So, here's a question for you, Stormy. How can time exist in a non-linear fashion and there still be free will?
Time.
People talk about timelessness,
right?
When beyond death and fourth dimension, and where there is no, where time is not linear and things like this. So there's that aspect to think about. I remember one experience when I told you this when I was a kid and I played on a Game Boy before it was invented.
Right.
It
doesn't take away the will, though. I mean, it's still there. You're still choosing what you're doing in these different points. Even if you do become immune to the linearness, you're still making choices.